But, you know, I'm very vanilla myself. I mean, just look at me. I'm practically a vanilla ice cream come to life. Hello, and welcome to Spotlight Indie 2025. How awesome is it to be here? As you'll see, we have lots of people joining us for this special episode for the new year, and it is amazing to be catching up with some of the gang from the indie event that happened in Shrewsbury last year. So we can't wait to chat to these guys to find out how their year's been, what they're looking forward to over the next coming 2025. But before we get into that, we've got some good news to share. So I'm going to throw it over to the greatest co-host in the cosmos, HL Tinsley. Holly, how's it going? How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. That feels a little bit harsh on Alex, I've got to be honest.
I was gearing up to
Honestly.
start talking, and then you said it was Holly. I was like, oh well, I mean, I guess that's fair, but
well, you can be the greatest co-host in the galaxy, Alex. But like in the cosmos, purely for alliteration alone, it's got to be Holly, right?
It has to be Holly. I take no no odds from conceding to the best.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm nodding my head like I agree. Like, yeah, I'm great. Like, yeah. Anyway, I do have some good news to share. Following the success of Spotlight Indie in 2024, we are really pleased to announce that we have confirmed our event will be back for a second year in 2025. We have set a date for us to return to the Nerdy Cafe in Shrewsbury on the 20th September. There is going to be more details coming out very soon. I've already got a special guest lined up, which we are not going to announce yet. We're going to keep that under our hats for a little while longer, but we are super excited about that. We are also going to be introducing some new things to the program for this year. One of those is going to be our masterclass sessions, which will be taking place during the day at Nerdy. They will be 1 hour in-depth masterclass sessions with some of the best professionals from the indie sphere, looking at book writing, storytelling, editing, and loads of cool stuff. We're really excited about it. The website will be going up soon. It is still in progress. But yeah, we're really excited to confirm that we are returning for our second year. Hey!
Woo! That's awesome. Shrewsbury 2025, September 20th at the Nerdy Cafe. You are going to hear that so much on this channel. It's going to be like, you're going to be able to like hear it in your sleep. It's going to be the best. So, Alex, yes, let's do it. The more subliminal we can get it out there, the better. If you play this whole thing backwards, it just says September 20th, 2025 at the Nerdy Cafe. Alex, how can people get involved with the event and stuff like that?
There's so many ways. If you want to get involved as like speaker slots, you can look for opportunities, or you want to be involved in that, there's going to be ways to get in touch on the website. As Holly says, it's still under construction, but keep an eye out for that. If you want to get involved more widely on the YouTube channel, then send us stuff for your good news, like your book launches, like milestones or celebrations. Anything that we can uplift from the indie sphere, we are very happy to shine a spotlight on it. See what I did there? And obviously, you can follow us all on the socials, the YouTubes, and all the things the kids are using nowadays, where Indie Spotlight has a presence for the event announcements, and you just help boost those. That's obviously super helpful, so that everybody can find out about those things. And then more specifically for the event as well, last year was also sponsored by a few people. So if you are interested in being one of the sponsors, then please send us a message. We love to support the indie community, so just reach out and uplift us, and we'll uplift you. It all is a lovely, generous, lovely circle.
Yeah, we want to be part of the indie community. We want the indie community to be a part of Spotlight Indie. We want so many good, amazing things that are happening in the indie community to be spread and to be widespread. And that includes any questions that you have for our regular segments with different authors here on the YouTube channel. So send us your questions, for there's no such thing as a stupid question. Keep sending in your comments. Let us know what you want to see, and we'll make it happen. In terms of what you want to see, what I want to see is you guys. It's absolutely awesome to see you. So we got Phil, we got Steve, we got Lauren joining us. I'm going to throw it over to you guys in just a second. I realized that I completely forgot to introduce myself at the beginning of this because I am just so. I mean, how many of these have I done? I should be used to saying, hi, I'm Frasier Armitage. But anyway, that's me. Part-time robot, full-time nerd. Let's start with Phil. Phil, who are you for anybody who doesn't know already?
I've been asking myself the same question for years and I've still not had an answer. So if anybody actually wants to make a contribution to tell me who I am, please write on a postcard, send to the Archbishop of Canterbury, care of Phil Parker, and he will probably tell you, or whoever's in the job at the time. Apart from that, I'm also a writer of fantasy fiction, and that's what these things are above here. They're books that I have written, apparently, in some sort of guise or another as to whoever I am.
This could be our next question for No Such Thing as Stupid Question. Who is Phil Parker?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm going to add it in to roll
all the best
for
answers,
now.
please send to.
If anybody rolls a 20, the question is, who is Phil Parker? 100%. Also, you're the maestro of mythology, Phil. I feel like that's kind of like what you need to be saying to people, because like your mythological expertise is awesome. Maestro of myth.
Yeah, I should have said that, shouldn't I? Yeah, I really should have said. If only I knew who I was, I would have said it.
Next time.
Confusion.
Yeah. Lauren, let's move over to you. Well, first of all, who is Phil Parker? And secondly, who are you?
Well, they're two very difficult questions, aren't they? We're all going to struggle with identity. My name is Lauren. I write as L.L. McRae, but you're very welcome to call me Lauren. The amount of people that come in to me and like, can I call you L? And I'm like, I mean, you could, but it would be really weird. I am an indie author. I write epic fantasy. I have written 18 books across a number of series, including 2 short stories in some anthologies, one of which I worked with very lovely Holly on, The Anatomy of Fear, which was fantastic. I mostly write lighthearted stuff, fun, adventurous, epic fantasy that you can escape into and enjoy for a few hours while the world is horrible. So that's what I do. As far as who Phil is, I mean, that's going to be the question. That's going to be the theme of the entire Spotlight Indie of 2025, isn't it?
Yeah.
Who is Phil? Some kind of shapeshifter, perhaps? I don't know.
I love it. So, Steve, who do you think Phil Parker is, and who are you?
I'll take the first question first because that's the easiest. Phil is the Godfather trickster. That is his title. That's his entire identity, and we should all pay tribute to him. Yeah.
Thank you, Steve.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I'll take that.
As far as who I am, I'm Stephen McKinnon. I'm a Glasgow-based indie author. I write kind of epic fantasy, not quite grimdark, but there's a healthy dose of grit in there, but also humour as well, because I think that's what reflects real life. No matter how bad things get, we always seem to find a way to laugh through it. We always find a way to see the glimmers of hope amidst the kind of dark, grim horribleness that goes on. So I've written 5 books. So I've got one trilogy out with a prequel novella, and I'm currently working on the second book of a second series set in the same universe. So the next one coming out has pirates in it. So I've been doing a lot of research into that, listening to a lot of fun podcasts. Just anything to help the imagination run wild is good in my book. Pun absolutely intended. So was very happy to meet you guys in person at the last event in Shrewsbury, and very much keen on making an appearance at the next one as well.
That's awesome. And I imagine if it's got pirates in it, then the R button on your keyboard is practically like destroyed by now. It's like When the audiobook comes out, there's like a minute and a half of just um, I had the pleasure of chatting to all of you guys before the event on the YouTube channel, and then to meet you all at the event was so cool. And then being able to hang out like this afterwards, it's the best, right? What was all of your experiences about sort of like Shrewsbury? What was like your overwhelming memory of it? Let's start with Lauren.
I just think the cozy vibes, the camaraderie. It was a little bit chaotic as well. I mean, because of the last minute changes, but that just kind of like helped us all pull in together, give each other a hand. If anyone was lost, anyone needed help moving boxes or figuring out where to go. I mean, it was very, very welcoming. Even though I don't think I'd actually physically met many of you before, it was the first time, and it felt so comforting and homey. Really, really nice vibes. And I think it was the first time I've been to Shrewsbury as well, and it's the perfect place for that kind of event as well. I think it's not like crazy busy London or a big city or anything like that. It's a cute, quirky place, lots of independence, perfect place for writers like us. And it was very much like coming to a second home for sure. I know that sounds really cheesy, but it's awesome. Definitely the vibes.
No, that was like, oh, that's so sweet. That's amazing. I love it, Lauren. Phil, what about you? What's your outstanding memory from 2024's Spotlight Indie event?
Lots really. I mean, I've got to completely agree with everything that Lauren's just said. It really was a wonderful, cozy atmosphere that was so much fun. I think for me, I was just saying to you just before we started that it was the first event that I'd ever been to. And subsequently to Shrewsbury, I then went on to Chester to FantasyCon, and then a couple of weeks after that to BristolCon. And what it did was it gave me confidence. It gave me that sort of feeling of, I actually do belong here, because I think that until that moment, I felt like a complete fraud. And it just made me sort of feel very much at home. It made me feel that, everyone else were all the people that I'd known for ages, when it was a chance to get to know them and fit in. And that was just, I think, the most wonderful experience. And I think the single event that did that were the panels, because they were just so much fun. They were handled so well. There were great questions to sort of to deal with. So it was just a hell of a lot of fun.
Awesome. And what about you, Steve?
Yes, spot on what Phil and Lauren said. It was just such a friendly atmosphere. Really, the biggest highlight was meeting you guys in person. In particular, Phil and Lauren, who I've kind of been Twitter and Facebook friends with since the SPFBO that we were all involved in, which I think was 2018.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. So part of me was probably quite nervous at first as well. For that reason, and it was my first in-person indie event as well. So the whole thing from start to finish was just really good fun, really relaxed, really friendly. One thing that sticks out was towards the end of the event. A guy had come in with his family. I think he had 2 daughters, or maybe a son and daughter. And he came up, he spoke to a few authors. He came up to my table and, he bought a book, which is obviously a highlight as well. But he had said he had no idea that the event was on. He just, usually of a Sunday, he takes his kids out for a walk, and then they always go into the nerdy cafe and play a board game. And that was just their Sunday tradition. That was just what they did. And it just so happened there was like a book event on that was of his interest as well. So just seeing him and chatting to him, it was like seeing a kid on Christmas morning. He was like, oh, this is so cool. So I mean, we could all tell each other and how much good fun it was and how lovely it was to meet each other, which it was. But then you've just got somebody who had no idea who we were, who had no idea that the event was on, and still see that enthusiasm matched, like unbiased and unadulterated. Yeah, it was very uplifting and very heartwarming as well. Yeah, no, that was cool. And then I don't know if we're allowed to talk about what happened after the event when we descended on the pub and
I wondered who was going to do that.
bingo that went on in the pub, but that might be the after dark version of this podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What happens in Shrewsbury stays in
at
Shrewsbury.
Yeah. Alex, what was your highlight of Spotlight 2024?
I think, yeah, the highlight was, again, you know, same with everybody's saying, is that you meet writers nowadays. You can connect with people very easily online, and it's just really nice to have that space where you can meet people in real life and, you know, see them in the physical real space and just find out they're just as friendly and lovely and as they are online. And I think it's really nice reminding yourself of that. This, you know, the indie community and the sort of speculative fiction community as well, is they're all like really friendly. Everyone's just like, you know, loves it. So it was just really nice to have that as a day where you could just experience that. I think my low light for it, not that you asked for it, but I was Phil released sold his new book out on that day, and I was like, right, great, I'm going to get Phil's new book. And then by the time I got downstairs, he'd sold out of all of his book, and I was very cross about
God,
that.
guilt.
But, you know, clearly it was very popular with everybody, the book and the event that was all happening. But yeah, it was just a really lovely space to meet everybody and just affirm all of our love for what we do and, you know, and indie stuff.
Are you, Holly?
Oh, okay. So I had a lot of highlights, obviously. I think I look at it from a different perspective, as on the day I wasn't actually probably taking in as much as I wanted to because I was running up and down the stairs. It was very, very good for my calisthenics. But I think for me afterwards, it was just the little things I'd noticed, similar to what Steve was saying there with the guy that came in and was chatting to him. I was seeing people go to stores and talk to the authors. And then later on, I was walking downstairs and seeing them sat at the tables with a coffee, reading the books. So there was that, you know, not just a connection of, oh, there's someone here, I'll talk to them and then I'll go away, but actually engaging with and getting involved with a community and a group of writers that they maybe didn't know existed. And I think we had a very specific purpose that we wanted to create an event where people could come and really feel that they were welcomed to come be their unique, authentic, independent selves. And one of the greatest highlights is actually coming from after the event, seeing on social media, like the people chatting, both Phil and Lauren, I've seen recently having conversations with people who said, oh, I want to get out to indie events. I want to go and talk to the writers, but I'm really nervous, you know, and saying, well, this was where we started. Lauren did a great post on what to do when you're preparing to go to your first event. So, and you know, this is certainly not me taking credit for that in any way at all. So sorry, Lauren, if that sounded like that's what I was doing, but it's just to see that kind of spreading that, you know, well, actually, here's how we can make you feel more comfortable. Here's how we can help you to get over that fear. So, yeah, that's probably my highlight.
I think you should just take credit for everything, Holly. It's like, you know, just don't hold back. Just be like, yeah, it's on me. I'm responsible for the entire indie community. You know, it's just own it.
All Phil's books. Yeah, I'm taking credit for all of those. Yeah. I'm joking. I'm not.
Yeah, just the silence there. It's like, oh no, she's going to take credit for my books now. Exactly.
So what we're going to do now is have a game of Roll for Insight. We've got brand new questions, especially for the new year for 2025. Holly, just for everybody who doesn't know what it is, what are the rules for Roll for Insight?
So the rules for Roll for Insight are, we all have a D20 dice, which we will take in turns to roll. Whatever number you roll, Frasier will ask the corresponding question from our list of questions, which range from the deep and insightful to the mildly ridiculous. And we'll just see where it goes. So
awesome. So, Lauren, you are our first contestant. So do you have your D20 dice to hand?
I do, yes. I don't know how well you can see that, but
Are
it's
you
actually like,
prepared?
it's all like holographic and it's lovely.
Ooh.
So yeah, this is going to be like really embarrassing if I just immediately get one, right?
It's no bad roll in roll for
No, I
insight.
love it. You make your first roll, Lauren.
My first roll is 13.
13. Oh, we've done that really wonderful thing where where the question I wrote for 13 is the question we've literally just been talking about. What was your highlight from the Spotlight Indie event back in September? So let's think of a different question on the fly. If your protagonist had attended the Spotlight Indie event back in 2024, what panel would you have wished them to have featured on?
Oh my God, what a question. Okay, so that's kind of interesting because I write epic fantasy. I have multi POVs, so I have multiple characters I could choose. So let me pick one that would actually have a slightly more interesting answer, because one of them is has no memory at all. So any panel, so he could learn something would be good. Oh, this is going to be really awful because I don't remember the panels. Despite being on a couple of them, I don't remember any of the panels. I remember watching Lee do a panel, and he had a sword. And I don't know if he was teaching sword fighting or if it was just how to write sword fighting, or how to do battles, that kind of thing. And I do have a character who she's the daughter of quite a rich family. They came out of poverty and they ended up becoming one of the ruling families. And she, to kind of prove herself and prove her worth, would do drills with the family guard. So she would probably have wanted to be in that panel, watching that panel, maybe doing some dueling with Lee as well with the sword, to try and show up anyone that might think that she's a bit of a pushover, and definitely showing that that's not the case for her. So I would probably say Kalidra from my Dragon Spirit series, and that will be the panel. And I'm really, really sorry, Lee, that I don't remember what it was called. I was just so transfixed by watching him doing all of the, this is what this sword is called, and this is what that sword is called, and this is how you hold it, that I completely blanked on the panel name.
Do you think that Kalidra versus Lee, that Lee would have stood any kind of a chance?
Oh God, that's really difficult because Lee's so confident, and that can get you a long way. I think he might have had a chance if there was maybe like a sneak attack or like an ambush, like some kind of strategy that kind of went into it. If it's one-on-one, I think she'd give him a good run for his money, but it depends on how confident he was feeling that day. And yeah, it would be a close thing. It'd be fun to watch though, for sure, because they would both get really annoyed with each other.
Perfect. I love it. Steve, do you have a way of rolling between 1 and 20?
I have a virtual D20, and has it come up 13 as well? Do you want me to roll again?
Yeah, roll again.
Yeah, roll again. Yeah.
16. There we go.
16. Okay. What's your favorite word?
Yeah, it might need to be on the After Dark version. My favourite word? Oh,
family-friendly word.
My friendly word.
You can't say tariff. Mr. Trump's already used that word.
Okay. I don't know that it's my favourite word, but a word that comes up often when I'm editing a book is clash. So sometimes it makes sense when it's like a sword fight. It's like, oh, the swords clashed, or steel clashed on steel and stuff like that. Other times it's maybe not so relevant, and I've probably just tried to find like a strong sounding verb that's maybe at odds, like, oh God, I don't know. Laughter clashed out of his mouth, and then you do the back to think that makes no sense whatsoever. Let's delete that. So yeah, in the absence of a favourite word, that's probably my overused word. So in the moment, I think I'm enjoying it. But yeah, other than that, I don't know.
I feel like you should write a book called Clashed, I feel like that would be great. Yeah. Or like
I
the
feel like-
clash of clashes.
Yes. I also feel like this needs to be a group question because I feel like Phil is sat there and I can see in his mind he's thinking, I have a favourite word.
No, I'm thinking, God, of those two questions, can I go home now, please? I'm having a nervous breakdown here, thinking, oh my God.
It's okay, don't worry. Those were just the easy questions.
Yeah. Well, you've not got a dice or a virtual dice, Phil. So you're just throwing out random numbers.
I have got a virtual dice.
Oh,
Okay,
perfect.
and it's
perfect.
I have just acquired one because that's what I do, and it's 17.
17. Oh, here we go. What
Mm.
tropes are you hoping will take off in 2025?
Oh right, okay. My books. Thank you. Next question.
I love it. What tropes do people find in your books, Phil?
Yeah, okay. All right, you're going to push this. It's like being on an interview show, this is, isn't it? What tropes? Right. Let me think. Serious. I'm not sure that it's a trope as such, but I'm finding, as I've just started the third book in the series of that, second book's just gone off to the editor, that it's a trope of exploring British folklore that has really captured my imagination and bringing those sort of folklore tropes into modern day usage. So that's one of the things that I've really found. So, for example, just to illustrate what I'm talking about, pukas. We're all familiar with pukas, or perhaps we're not. Perhaps they are strange creatures to you. Let me tell you about pukas. Pukas are black dogs, but it depends upon whereabouts in Britain you are. If you are in Somerset, they're called dando dogs. And if you're in Yorkshire, they're called bar guests. But all of these are pukas. They're shape-shifting black animals. And so it's that kind of trope, if you like, that I'm exploring in all the books and trying to get as many into the stories as I possibly can. The first book that I've just mentioned there, he said, plugging it shamelessly again, has got the very original form of the original vampire, which is not Bram Stoker's, because he copied. And so therefore it's going to be a case of using those tropes. End of answer.
I now have a new favorite word, which is pukas. I mean, that's
Puka.
like,
Yeah. Look out, there's a
Who knew?
puka about. That's what you
yeah,
said.
I love it.
Yeah.
Holly, do you want to roll?
Yes, I do. 11.
11. What new books from other authors are you looking forward to reading next year? These can either be brand new books or just books on your TBR.
Ooh, okay. I feel like I answered this question recently and I can't remember I remember the books, but I can't remember which order they are in because it's a series by the author Thomas J. Devons, and I picked up the first book at the end of 2024, which is, I'm going to say it's The Scroungers, and The Dregs is the second one. But I am really looking forward to picking up that second book. So that's probably going to be my first read. I also want to get my hands on a copy of New York Minute by Stephen Aryan, because I've heard a lot of good things about that. And I think that noir is having a bit of a moment right now. So I want to read some more of the genre. And I'm trying to think. I'm so bad at remembering book titles off the top of my head. I'm gonna throw this one over to Alex as well to answer.
What am I looking forward to reading next year? I think, assuming it comes out, Phil's the second book in the Bureau of the British Bureau for the Arcane. Phil's book number 2 that he was saying has just gone off to the editors. Hopefully that one comes out next year. I picked up a few books at Shrewsbury that I haven't made it to yet. So New York Minute is one of those. I can't remember the name of it either, but the second book in PL, I'm also blanking on his last name, but The Drowned Kingdom, series.
P.L. Stewart.
Yeah.
Stewart, thank you. I was going P.L. James. I was like, no, that is just a mixture of P.L. Stewart and D. James. So I was just slamming those together. But yeah, I did the first one of those a while ago. I really enjoyed it, and I did it in audio, which was very good, and I've been needing a good fantasy audio, so I think I'll pick that one up as well. And also, stares at his towering TBR that will fall and kill him at any moment, and any of those as well will be good to read next year.
Amazing. What about you guys? Have you got like a book that you're like especially looking forward to next year? Lauren?
Oh, I have lots. I've been trying to categorize my TBR to try and make it somehow more manageable and less likely to topple over and kill me. There's a lot of indies that have been on my to-read list for a very long time. Basically, everyone that's written something in here, essentially, I've read Holly's too, and that's it. So I feel really awful about that. I bought your anthology like a night ago, last night, the night before, actually, Frasier. So I'm looking forward to getting into that. But there's loads of indies as well. I mean, P.L. Stewart is on my TBR as well. I've got a lot of other SPFPO books that either the cover caught my eye or a review that came out. It made me really interested in it because there are so many books in that it's very difficult to choose. And as much as I would love to support all indies, funds and time are limited. So I tend to, go into magpie mode and go by cover. Petition by Delilah One, I really want to read. I backed her Kickstarter. So I've got a all singing, all dancing special edition of Petition and Supplicant coming from Australia. So that's going to be wonderful when that arrives. A couple other Kickstarters that I backed. I want to get to some more anthologies that have just been kind of sitting on the shelf gathering dust because I'm like, oh yeah, I will support. And then I forget about it. And then months later it turns up and I put it on my shelf and then forget about it. So trying to get through some of my indie backlist would be really good. As I was saying about, the whole Spotlight event and the bookish community as a whole, it's very inclusive. It's very welcoming. We are peers, but we're not rivals. So, me shouting about another indie book it's never going to be a bad thing. So the more we read, the more we kind of lift each other up and the more the word spreads. So I'm going to try and make a concerted effort to read a lot more indies next year. That's basically my TBR.
That rocks. That's awesome. What about you, Steve?
Yeah, much the same. There's a lot of indie books I'm looking forward to getting stuck into. I'm going to prioritise the books that I picked up at the event, including Phil's, which might have been the last copy. Alex, I might have snagged that because Phil decided for it.
Rub it in, go.
And Lauren's The Iron Crown, which I'm sure I've got the Kindle version of. I struggle to concentrate on ebooks. I need a paperback. So that's very high in the TBR. I fancy that anthology of yours as well, Frasier. Is there a paperback version of that?
There will be. But yeah, my cover artist is getting the paperback cover sorted for sometime in the new year. So it's probably going to be maybe early 2025, maybe spring at the latest, I'm hoping. But I will keep you posted.
Please do. Yeah, in fact, I've got, if you'll excuse me, yeah. I've literally had to put books under my desk because my bookshelf is full. But as well as buying Crown, I've got Lee's book to read, Carol's one to read, Dwayne's, yeah. And that's yours there, Phil. And yeah, just whoever does your cover art, Lauren, is phenomenal. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting stuck into all that. And I'm often a mood reader as well. I'll maybe read 2 or 3 books at a time. For Christmas, I got the former Celtic football player Henrik Larsson's book, and I'm like a quarter of the way through that already, as well as another trad published fantasy book. So yeah, I'm sure I'll get through them all within the next decade at least.
That's really cool. And what about you, Phil?
Yeah, I'm a little bit swamped as well. I've got a copy of Dirk Ashton's Kraken Rider sequel, which I've got to start, and I need to get moving on that because I promised him a review for beginning of this coming year, and that's 2 days away, and I've not read it yet. So I need to get moving on that one. But I'm like Holly, that I've met Stephen twice earlier on, this year at Shrewsbury and at Chester, and he is such a lovely guy. So the more I've read about New York Minute, the more I thought I really do want to sort of read that. But also the thing that you were saying about noir being, suddenly in its ascendancy, because mine apparently are noir, which I didn't know, but I've got Bjorn Larson to thank for that, because that's what he christened it as grimdark noir, whatever that is. But it made me think, actually, I need to really sort of engage a lot more in noir generally. So I'm going to sort of pursue those. The other one I've got, it's not fantasy, but it's that, which is factual stuff, and it's about how trees talk to one another, which is it was a Christmas present from my daughter. Fascinating, absolutely fascinating. My God, it's Dando Dog. Oh, no, it's not Dando Cat.
Sorry.
Capsule cat.
Crash the Dando Cat.
She's gone behind the TV now, I think.
I
We
love
say. Right.
Is she that big in real life, Holly?
Do you know what? I don't know what it is about my cats, where they will completely ignore me all day, but the minute I put a ring light on, they're like piranhas just swarming everywhere. I mean, I've only got 2, and it feels like there's about 20 of them.
That's awesome. Alex, it's your role.
Do you want to tell us what you're looking forward to reading, Frasier, before I roll?
Absolutely not. My TBR pile is like a nightmare. Yeah, I'm looking forward to all of the books that I should have read this year that I didn't get a chance to. All I'm going to say is same really as Holly and Lauren, and I guess everybody really very excited about indie books that are coming out over this next year. I think that what this year's shaping up to be really exciting for indie. And now roll, Alex. It's your roll.
Okay. Oh, natural 20.
Hey.
So what do I do on 20? Yeah.
Okay. So you can we just preempted it again, because for 20 you get the joy, because it's basically the winning role of being able to ask a question. So you can ask a question of me, of any of the other guests here. You choose, any question you like.
Any question?
Power.
What are your card details? No, that's not. Let's go with something silly. What's your favorite flavor of ice cream? Because
I thought you were going to go for dinosaur.
Well, I feel like I always feel like I'm very involved with dinosaurs, so I forget how intensely I love them compared to other people. So I was having a call with somebody a few weeks ago, and we were discussing my work in progress, which includes dinosaurs. She was like, "Oh, those dinosaurs are these ones, right?" And I was like, "What? No, obviously they're not. What do you mean? They're this very specific species." And so I've tried to back off my love of dinosaurs, make it more internal. So everybody knows ice cream, so let's go with ice cream.
I'll go first. Okay, so here's the thing, right? I am a mood eater when it comes to ice cream, so my answer changes quite regularly. However, what I will say is that ice cream with a dollop of clotted cream is so at the minute I'm very much in like the chocolate zone, so I'm going chocolate ice cream with a dollop of clotted cream and a flake.
Nice.
Wow.
I knew it would be a more involved answer than the one I would give when I asked you that question.
Come on, I tell you what. Let's go around the screen. So Holly, you're up next.
Okay. I would find it difficult to narrow down a flavour. There are definitely ones that I like, but when it comes to ice cream, my rule is that it has to be expensive, because there are some things in life that you can cheap out on, and there are some things in life that you absolutely cannot cheap out on. So I would strongly recommend only ever eating premium quality ice cream, because otherwise you're doing yourself and your mouth a disservice, and your tongue does not deserve that. But if I was going to choose a flavour, my current favourite is McKay's honeycomb flavoured ice cream, which is probably on the cheaper. It's a more affordable brand. Let's put it that way. So.
Budget premium.
Budget premium, yes.
I can't tell you how many times my wife has heard the expression "your tongue does not deserve that" when people meet me. Anyway,
and that's an outtake.
Phil, what's your favourite flavour of ice cream?
God. Well, I'm going to go with Holly and say that the only real ice cream is gelato. Okay, everything else is not ice cream. Gelato is it, and you have to go to Italy to eat it. So that's going to outdo everything that you've just said, Holly. And coconut gelato. Simple as that. Very exotic.
Italian coconut gelato. Love it. Only Phil would have a favorite flavor of ice cream you have to get on a plane to experience. That's amazing. And Lauren,
the coconut ice cream has to come after you've had your pizza.
Lauren, what about you?
God, as much as I would love to get on a plane to Italy every time I have a craving for ice cream, I cannot do that. If it's hot and it's summer, raspberry ripple. Any other time, salted caramel. Buy any brand as long as it tastes nice, I think. Except I will say though that the ones that are like 0% fat or better for you, there's a funny taste to them. So as long as it's like made with real dairy, I apologize for everyone who is vegan and lactose intolerant. Those are my go-to flavors.
That's solid options.
Simple.
Love it. So you've asked the question, Alex. So it's up to you as to whether you want to weigh in. You know.
Yeah, well, I'm going to seem really boring now, because I think now Holly said about it being a good quality one. I think you can't actually go far wrong with a really nice vanilla ice cream. Like add all these flavors in, and actually a very nice vanilla one is very good. Really nice and creamy. If you could just travel as far away physically as possible from Italy to buy it, then that would be, great.
Oh, you're so
I feel like
mistaken there.
I feel like vanilla is like the Jimi Hendrix of ice cream. It's like the OG. It's like the one that every other ice cream is trying to beat. It's like I'm with you on that, Alex. I think vanilla is delicious, but I'm very vanilla myself. I mean, just look at me. I'm practically a vanilla ice cream come to life.
That's what it is. I
Steve,
just see myself in the ice cream too much.
Mirrors, who is Alex S. Bradshaw? Vanilla
ice cream.
We know that. Yeah. Not vanilla ice, vanilla ice cream.
I definitely couldn't pull off vanilla ice. I am a dinosaur-shaped blob of vanilla ice cream.
Yeah, I love it. Steve, what about you?
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with the last two. Just a good solid vanilla. And I think part of it's because I like quantity more than quality sometimes. I think, if you've got like a really nicely mint choc chip or something, that might go down well, like after a 3-course meal. Whereas if you just want a snack, just get a tub of vanilla. Like, it's not going to be overpowering or too sickly. It's just ultimate comfort food. And just to cause further controversy, Holly, one of the best ice creams I ever had was cheap, generic, probably synthetic rubbish. And it was so I don't remember what it was called. That's how generic it was, but I do remember it had a very stereotypical crude drawing of a generic Italian man on the tub, like Jimmy's Gelato or something it was called, and it probably cost about 40 pence for 6 litres worth of, and I don't know, it just hit the spot. I think that was a raspberry ripple flavour. But you know, all ice cream's good. Like if you've got it with like apple pie or like fudge cake, then maybe something like vanilla is always going to complement it well. If you do want to push the boat out, then you know you've got plenty of choice. Like butterscotch ice cream, nice. But again, maybe a bit sickly sweet. But we could debate about this probably more than yours.
I'm also loving like the range we've got from like, no, you have to go to Italy. You're like, well, it was 40p, so that was pretty good. Like, just give me as much as you can get.
So what we're basically saying is we've got the fancy people on the top here, with Frasier with his custard cream, his chocolate. So then Lauren can be fancy with us as well, but obviously Steve could stay with his 40p.
Yeah, you're going to have like a spoonful of something fancy, and me and Steve are going to be loving it up with tubs and tubs of the stuff.
Yep. Yeah. Working man's ice cream, Alex. That's what I'm all about.
Just keep it real.
I feel like we maybe need like a panel on the next Spotlight Indie event on like best ice cream for writers, that kind of thing. That would be, I think we 100% need to do like an ice cream feature at the next thing. Everybody agree with that, right?
I'm signing up for that as well, because it's not just ice cream. It's like what Steve said. It's like, what ice cream do you have with what other dessert? Because if you've got an apple crumble or an apple pie, and then it's like vanilla, and then is it ice cream or custard? And then if it's ice cream, it's what flavor? And then if you're having a sundae, which, I could go on forever about that. So yes.
I have this theory. So you know, like the whole thing of like you are what you eat. So my whole theory about writing is that you can influence your storytelling by eating a food that gives you a certain mood, or that sort of has like flavors of ice cream elicit certain different types of moods and different types of characters. So you can actually use ice cream as a way to get in the zone to write sort of like specific scenes. So I feel like that, 100% we should like try it out. Like whatever we're working on next with our TBRs, find some food that matches, and then we'll talk about it all at the next like panel event, and we'll talk about like the great food experiment of 2025. Everybody's up for that, yeah?
Yeah,
Holly,
that's a good way to
you could like head the next short story anthology, and everyone is like, okay, these are the chocolate stories, these are the vanilla stories, these are the Italian gelato stories.
You know what? I feel like what's actually happening here is you're all just trying to subliminally convince me to put a buffet on at the next event, and this is where this is going. I would also like to say I love the fact that at the beginning of this, we promised we would range from the deep and philosophical to the mildly ridiculous. And I feel like this one question has covered all of those things.
Thanks, Alex.
What we're gonna do? We're gonna roll a final round of Roll for Insight, and to do this, everyone's gonna need their dice. Okay, so we're all gonna roll at the same time. Okay. Throw me your numbers. And what we will do is we will choose from the numbers, and that will be the question that we each take a turn in answering. So, roll. I rolled a 1.
3.
7.
So we got 1, 3, 5, 7. Oh, tell me 9 and 11. Come on.
18.
19.
Okay, so we got 1, 3, 5, 7, 18, 19. Who wants to pick? Holly, you pick.
Okay, do you know what? I'm going to go with my own role. I'm going to go with 5 because I know what the question is and I think it is going to be an interesting one.
Oh gosh.
Okay. All right. Question 5. Okay, Holly, you first then.
Okay.
Which author would you like to swap minds with for a day?
Oh,
I would like to swap minds with. There's a few actually that I would swap minds with for varying reasons. I would love to swap minds with. Oh my god! Do you know what? I regret this now because all the names of authors have just gone out of my head. So I'm trying to think. Bernard Cornwell. I don't know why I couldn't remember his name. So I would love to swap brains with him for a day because I love his books. I love his writing. He is like a master of the craft. And also, I would love to see what the cast of Last Kingdom look like in his mind to see if they look anything like the TV show. That would be quite interesting. And in the indie sphere, I would probably like to swap brains for a day with maybe Zamil Akhtar. I think would be a really interesting one just because what he writes is so completely weird and out there. So with it being cosmic fantasy and that very Lovecraftian style of writing, that's not something that I can do. So to get a glimpse into how like he imagines these worlds and these scenarios and books would be really exciting. And also I could get some good Kickstarter tips as well. That would be pretty useful. And I would probably want to be in, I'm going to say my friend Tim Hardy's brain for a day, not to do with writing, but just because I just would like to see what's going on in there.
Wouldn't we all, Holly? Wouldn't we all? Phil, what about you?
Oh yeah. Okay. Two people I think spring to mind straight away. The first one is one of the things that I mentioned him several times at Shrewsbury, and I'm surprised by how few people knew him, even though he's a really well-established writer. And that's Richard Morgan and his Land Fit for Heroes sort of trilogy, particularly. He's also the guy that did Altered Carbon, that was on Netflix for 2 series. But his Land Fit for Heroes trilogy was the one that inspired all my writing. I just found him absolutely incredible in terms of being able to inhabit a character so vividly and in such a visceral way that it just leaves you seriously disturbed almost when you read his stories, you know, sort of almost traumatized in places. So he's an amazing writer, and I'd love just to know how he goes about doing that. But also what you just said, Holly, I think has just triggered another person. I'd love to be in the mind of Travis Riddle, because his stories are also incredibly unusual and strange and bizarre, and you know, his characters usually aren't human. He has at least one chapter where everyone's having a meal, given what we were saying about ice cream. So yeah, I would love to be in his mind as well, just to see how it works, because again, it's so different to mine. So yeah, those two.
Perfect. What about you, Lauren?
So definitely Adrian Tchaikovsky. He's probably in my top 3 or maybe top 5 favorite authors. His creativity seems to know no bounds, whether he's writing fantasy or sci-fi or some weird kind of genre blend. I love the camaraderie feel that he gets in all of his books. I mean, I read for the world building, which is fantastic, but he has so much heart with his characters as well, and he can just balance that very, very well. So definitely his mind. As far as someone from the indie sphere, maybe somebody like Crystal Matar would be great. I think Crystal's prose is just I could read shopping lists or, you know, like post-it notes. It doesn't have to be a book. I think it's fantastic. And just like her generosity and that kind of like very, very kind nature as well. So if I could get like some of that and maybe some of the extrovertism as well, that would also help. That would be the perfect blend, I think. Just a day in each of them, I would take copious amounts of notes.
Alex, what about you?
I think my first choice would be, I don't know why I'm saying this as though like they get to say yes or no to me, but my first choice would probably be I was thinking Sarah Chorn. Maybe she's obviously a terrific writer who has this just beautiful books that break your heart every time, but she's also a wonderful editor. She edited my books, so it'd be great to pick her brain from the inside on like story and get all of her knowledge from osmosis there. And then maybe like Miles / Christian Cameron as well, because he writes great books and just like continuously and like doesn't seem to sleep or do anything like that. So I think just seeing his whole process, and he does lots of stuff like reenactments and things like that. So I think that would be really interesting to see. He sort of lives the experiences of a lot of his sort of settings as well. So that would be very interesting. I think that would probably be enough for me. I'd probably then want to come home to my own cozy vanilla body.
Seek the comfort of vanilla every time. Steve, what about you?
Yeah, same as Phil. From the indie side, I would have said Travis Riddle, because as Phil said, his stories are full of these kind of bizarre creatures and strange worlds, yet they're so human as well. Achingly human, I would argue, because they're all so flawed and earnest and just trying to do right, or trying to fix a mistake. Yeah, just he's got complex characters, but they're so well lived in, they're so well written that you feel like you've known them for years, and that's a pretty rare skill, I think. One I'm certainly envious of. Yeah, I'd love to get an insight into that. From the trad side, I'd probably say Scott Lynch, who did The Gentleman Bastard, like Lies of Loch Lamora. They're good books, again, full of great world building and characters. But the biggest standout is his lyrical profanity. It is just something to behold. It's so good. Like, again, I'd happily read an expletive-laden shopping list written by Scott Lynch. They're like, fantastic. Give that
an Well, that's it. It's like, because for everybody who like you swap with, they get your brain for a little bit. That's kind of exciting. No, in terms of swapping, I would say George R.R. Martin, so I could make him finish book 6 and 7 in that day and release them. I mean, if Keanu Reeves, if we're going with like him being an author, then 100% Keanu Reeves is the top of my list because he is my hero. And the reason I write is to eventually have one day written a book that will reach him and he will read it and say, whoa. That to me is the pinnacle of every writer's journey. Is for that to happen. So yeah, if I can say Keanu Reeves, I'll say Keanu Reeves. And Keanu, if you're watching, hit me up. I'm sure there's an experiment, fly style, we could get involved with, and it'll be fun. It'll be a good TikTok video. So that brings us to the end of, in a completely normal and natural way, that brings us to the end of Roll for Insight. Thanks, guys. Thanks for getting us, taking part and playing along. And Holly, what can everybody expect from upcoming things until the 20th of September 2025 from the Spotlight Indie channel?
We have got lots and lots planned. So we do already have some content in the bag, which will be coming out over the next couple of weeks. So we did take a little break over Christmas just so we could go and see friends and family and lie face down on a sofa eating crisps like the rest of the nation. But in terms of what's coming up, we have parts 2 and 3 of our interview with J.E. Hannaford coming up. We also have a conversation with Trudy Skies and Niels, which was awesome, talking about their new website. And we also have our new series, which is coming up soon, which is called Level Up, with our lovely host, Alex S. Bradshaw, who will be doing some gaming chats with indie authors, and one will be released at the end of January featuring the lovely Lauren. And yeah, we can also look forward to loads more of Frasier's impressions, because we've now had Pikachu, James Bond, Mr. Darcy, and Keanu Reeves.
Wonderful. So Alex, let's sign off. We'll start with you. You tell us, where can people find you if they want to sort of send you some vanilla fan mail?
Vanilla fan mail only, please. Yeah, anywhere on the internet, those social media, the usual places: Facebook, Instagram, X, Twitter, Blue Sky, as Alex S. Bradshaw, or alexsbradshaw.com. So all those usual kind of places.
Perfect. Phil, where can someone get in touch with you so that they can bill you for their flight to Italy?
Care of Frasier Armitage or Holly Tinsley. You can go to my website, which is Phil Parker's Speculative Faction. If you just Google that, because it's coming up really well on Google these days. You understand? Or on social media, I'm Phil Speculates. So that's me. And who is he anyway? That's what I keep asking.
Steve, what about you? Where can people get in touch with you to tell you about where you can find cheap 40p ice cream?
Yeah, just Stephen McKinnon on Facebook, X, Twitter, Blue Sky. It'll either be Stephen McKinnon or at SHR McKinnon, or Stephen McKinnon author on Instagram, or StephenMcKinnon.net is the website, which probably has all that stuff anyway. But yeah, it's Stephen with a V.
Awesome. And Lauren, where can people get in touch with you so that they can sign the petition for you to be on our food building panel?
Yeah, like everyone else, I'm on all the socials. Not really Facebook anymore, but definitely Instagram, where I do share bakes and sweet treats as well. Twitter, which is also X, Blue Sky, and Goodreads, just LL McRae. My website is llmcrae.com. There's links to all my socials there as well.
That's amazing. And what about you, Holly? Where can people send you sort of like, tips on how to keep your cats under control?
I mean, they could send me all the tips in the world. It's not going to make any difference. I can tell you that much now. But if anybody wants to find me, I am on Twitter and Blue Sky, also on Facebook. I am on Instagram, but I very rarely remember that it exists, so probably don't message me there. There will be a Spotlight Indie website going up soon, as we have mentioned, and all of my books are available on Amazon if people want to go and check them out.
And as for me, I'm Frasier Armitage. You can find me at FrasierArmitage.com or at Frasier Armitage everywhere. You can tune in to the Spotlight Indie channel, where you'll see me most weeks, having fun with different guests and all that kind of stuff in the build-up to the Spotlight Indie event 2025, where we'll hopefully see all of you guys. So until then, I hope that all of your works in progress go absolutely amazing. All of your writing projects are fantastic. I hope that you all find the ice cream of your heart and soul, and we'll see you soon. Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Oh, look out there. There's some Dando dogs there.
I feel like I went from being an adult to having the face of someone who gets bullied by teenagers.
It was that kind of show.
Bada bing, bada boom. Come follow us, blah, blah, blah.